Hi, I'm Carol Sullivan with the HPE Worldwide Alliances team focused on Microsoft. Today, we are being joined by Alan Kerr. Alan is from Microsoft, and he's the Director of Adaptive Cloud for the Americas. Alan spends a great deal of his time talking with our joint customers about the HPE Microsoft solution for customers that are dealing with the Broadcom VMware situation out there today. I've seen Alan do this presentation before. It is concise, it is to the point, it's very informative. So I wanted to have him do this, record it, so we could post it for all of you to watch. And with that, I will turn it over to Alan.
Hey, thanks, Carol. Thanks for having me, as always, in your various events that we do everywhere. Hey, everyone, here to talk about the hybrid cloud and sort of modernizing that with Microsoft on HPE equipment. It is one of my favorite things to talk about, so we're going to launch right into it here. So let's talk about the cloud, right? So one of the things I like to point out to people when they say, does this workload work here? Does this do that? Is this appropriate? Think of it like this. The edge is everything outside the public cloud, right? So we have the public cloud piece, which in my case is Azure. And then we have what's the private cloud, which HPE, sort of knows and loves. So we've got data centers and co-location facilities. We've got edge facilities where, customers have their manufacturing stuff. And then we've got the industrial edge, the IoT edge, the factory floor, where we're interfacing into the real world with those machines, right? So we've got this public cloud piece and this private cloud piece. But if we look at this and say, well, hey, wait a minute, right? This is just basically the edge because it's outside of public cloud. We can now run these workloads wherever we need to work, right? And so that's the same virtual machines, the same containers, the same Azure services, regardless of where you need to run them, across an adaptive or hybrid cloud. And so it's the same workloads wherever you need to run them. All you're doing is just saying, hey, where's most appropriate to run my workload? Sometimes it's on premises, sometimes it's in the cloud. And what we're doing with Microsoft and HPE is really giving the customer that choice. They can now decide to put it in the cloud, to put it on-prem, and then if they change their mind or the situation changes, they can move it, right? Because it is one contiguous platform that kind of runs anywhere. And so let's talk real quick about what's going on sort of at that edge location, anything that's outside that public cloud. What we do is we have an operating system called Azure Stake HCI, right? And that's our on-premises operating system. And what it does and what we've tried to do with the cloud is we've tried to make it consistent. So we're the only ones on the market today that have a consistent hybrid cloud, which means that what we're doing in our public side is the same thing we're doing on our private side. So for example, Azure Directory or now Entra, right? We have that in the cloud. We have that same Active Directory on-premise, the same identity management, the same security model across the whole lot. We have PaaS services on-prem. So you can run Azure SQL on-prem. You can run the SQL managed instance to whereby Microsoft is managing the version for you, Microsoft managing the updates, and you just get a connection string like you would in the cloud, but you're running that on-prem. And this is all running on HPE hardware. And so the operating system, the Azure Stake HCI, it's a split of our core Azure OS. It's a split of our nodes that we use in Azure, and it's a hyper-converged operating system. So we're taking the network, the compute, and the storage, and collapsing them into one, right? So it's software-defined networking, software-defined compute, software-defined storage, all in one thing. And what's even better is, unlike some of our other on-prem competitors, we don't license those things separately. So you get everything in a single bundled license where I can run my software-defined compute, software-defined storage, software-defined networking, all with a single license and get all of that capability for one price without having to get piecemeal with all of these different things. And then what we do is we take that stack and we connect it up to Azure. And that means we can take Azure services and run them on-prem. For example, Azure Virtual Desktop. We have a lot of customers who are migrating from Citrix and migrating off Horizon with their VDI platforms onto Azure Virtual Desktop on-prem. That is an Azure delivered service. So we're taking that from the Azure side and we're deploying that in the Azure Stack side out wherever that customer needs it. Right? So anytime you have sort of low latency requirements or things like that, applications on-prem, and you need VDI, Azure Virtual Desktop, you can put that right next to that. And so the topic du jour, the one that everyone wants to talk to me about, is that, hey, you know what? This Broadcom acquisition is causing me some problems. How do we think about this? Well, I kind of convert this just into workloads. right? Where does the workload make most sense? If you're going to migrate off of VMware, migrate off of ESX and put it somewhere, where does it make the most sense? The first part is if it's going to the cloud, once again, let's cover this real quick, right? And they've had a fight with VMware and Broadcom and they need to get off quick. Azure Azure VMware solution. It's VMware in Azure, straight migrate. You can do that really quick. If you've got time and it's definitely going to the cloud, that's when you start looking at an Azure native migration, a replatforming, if you will, onto that. Now, to be perfectly honest, with customers that are moving some stuff to the cloud, I'm seeing a 10/90 split. 10% in the Azure VMware solution because they need it quick, doesn't solve your long-term problem, and 90% in the replatforming aspect of it. But what we're really here to talk about is what's going on-prem. There's a reason the stuff's on-prem. There's a reason the stuff is staying on-prem. So what are customers doing about that? Well, there's really two options. Right? We've got Azure Stake HCI, and we've got Windows Data Center. And I'm going to be talking about 2025 because it's just around the corner, and you're going to be able to get that any day now. Most customers look for Azure Stake HCI. Why is that? Right? The reason they're doing this is multiple reasons. The first thing is you're getting all the Azure capabilities on-prem. All those Azure services that I want to run on-prem, I can do that. I'm getting the ability to take my old workloads, right? So my Windows 2012 and those kind of workloads, and get free security updates on those if they're in an Azure platform, of which this is, right? I'm getting the ability to do hot patching on my server. So if I have Windows Server 2022 or Windows Data Center 2022, I can hot patch that on the fly without rebooting. So I can take those security updates and just apply them every month on the fly without rebooting. I can't do that on the other side. If I have infrastructure I need to reuse, then that's where Windows Data Center comes in, right? And why do I talk about Data Center 2025? Is because I no longer require that on-prem tool. I don't need SCCM and some of these other tools to manage it. I can manage it at unlimited scale, all from the Azure portal, wherever it is. So the customer preferred option today is really Azure Stake HCI. Like I said, I'm seeing about 90% of that. And then for those other sort of specific use cases, I'm seeing Windows Data Center 2025, both available from HP, both available on obviously the plethora of platforms that we have at HP. All right, so how do we pay for this? Right, let's talk about licensing for a second. HPE has an OEM SKU. It's a HPE part number that you can apply to this, and they get to run Azure Stake HCI for as long as they own the equipment. What does it come with? It comes with the service license to run Azure Stake HCI. It comes with Windows Data Center 2022. So I can run unlimited guests in this environment. And it also comes with the Azure Kubernetes service, right? So I can run containers on this as well. And unlike some other stuff out there, it's now a perpetual license. It means that as long as I own the hardware, I'm not paying any fees. I'm not paying anything additional. I own the license and I own the hardware and I can run this for as long as I want. It comes pre-installed. So when you're getting integrated systems from HPE, it comes on the box from the factory, ready to go as you turn it on. Last thing, we can't really get out of here without talking about sort of generative AI. On HPE hardware, we can get local generative AI capabilities and run language models on Azure Stack at the edge. And you can use your local data sources and create these environments and create these Gen AI apps to run in your environment without that data going offsite for, security and performance reasons. And so we're seeing a lot of people migrate to Azure Stake HCI specifically because not only can we do sort of a build your own environment, but we get the capability of having Azure Infrastructure Copilot run on this. So now I can ask plain English language questions about what's going on in my environment. Why did this thing fail? What does this error mean? Things like that. So that Copilot capability is now built into Azure Stack, and you're going to be able to turn that on, along with your own custom built generative AI apps. And so it's really a matter of having sort of this cloud native platform anywhere, right? And then whatever you decide to do with it, if I want microservices, I can do that. If I want SQL PaaS services, I can do that. If I want basic straight infrastructure as a service at the edge, just run some VMs in my factory, I can do that. Whatever that platform is, whatever you need, Azure Stack HCI as an extension of Azure gives you that capability running on HPE hardware. And that's all I've got to say. So back to you, Carol. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. This is it's always so helpful to hear you explain all of this, and we really appreciate that. For more information, please look for us on the web at hpe.com/alliances. Alan and I are open to answering questions that you might have, so you can reach out to us directly. Thank you for watching.